Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? I am fine. I got a little bonus today. I'll explain in a minute. We'll take a look at gold. It's getting killed, but as we know that gold. Uh, we know it's all a game. We know it's all options, so we won't be too concerned with it. So our gold price is, I think we're down to 2,300. Down $80. So you can't explain one day to the next. 22.97 and silver 29.22. And you can see it was 23.86 until about 2 in the morning. And then they did their shorts. So they sold gold at 23.86 and it goes all the way down, and soon they'll buy it. So they'll make $90 an option. It's all bullshit, right? It's just an option. So they're selling high and buying low. And then yesterday they bought low and sold it when it got to 22.86. And so that's why it's just the racket. So 22.97. So we're waiting for them to get out, and we're waiting for the real gold buyers and physical to come in. So we ignore this as anything but pure Madoff. Same thing with silver. See, we're trying to get it higher like a stock, but you got to understand comex. Like I explained, it's just contracts. It's not anything to do with the physical price. It's not the demand for the Mahomes card. That'd be like the Mahomes card. If you thought that was like stocks, so let's say I sell this card for $2,500 because it's a 50 count Mahomes. Then I put an auction out. The guy who buys it puts an auction out, and it goes down to $10. I mean, see, that can't happen in the real world with real cards and coins. So there is no selling of gold or silver here. This is all contracts. This is all derivatives that are lowering these prices. So you see 22.97. You know that's not the real price of physical gold. You know there'll be a bunch of buying on Monday, knocking the price back up to 2,400. I mean, you know it'll get there. The problem is because they're still playing these derivative games, it goes up, it goes down. So what happened is they had some options at 23.20. So they sold at 23.20. So now they can buy at 2,300. Otherwise, they can't buy it at 2,400. They're screwed. Right, the price goes up, but they need to buy it, and they can't buy it for more than they sold it for. So now what'll trigger is two things. So now the guys are getting out at 2,300 if they bought it at 2,300, and then the new group will buy at this low price at 22.97. You'll see them doing the new option, the call option to go up. And then they'll let that run back $70, $80. We see this all the time. It's all bullshit. It's got nothing to do with the physical price of gold, except it's a good time to go buy it. So, as I said, I got a gift today. I get an email, some attorney for my mother's trust. It was probably the stupidest attorney I've ever seen in my life. She sits there and she mails something about the trust. So I'm getting a check, right? But I got to sign some paperwork and a tax form, mail it to them, signed, and then they will give me this check. And it's out of a trust, which it's, I guess it's a legal contract. I got, it's like me giving away 5 ounces of my gold to, Daria or something. So it's a trust, and the idiot mailed it to my old address that I haven't been at for over 2 years now. I just signed my 3rd year at this apartment. Excuse me. So I haven't been at the old place before Alabama, right? I was there, moved to Alabama, came back, moved here. And she sent something out September. They cut a check for me in October of 2023, which is invalid now. It's over 90 days. Then she sent something out to me in March. Like, you would think, well, why don't you want your check? Why aren't I getting your paperwork back? So I'm not sending anything because it's not coming to me. It had forwarded for a year, but this has already been 2.5 years, if not 3 years. So I'm not getting any information that anybody's looking for me. And then she says, oh, I found, I saw you had a new address. So she just mailed something out now. So I get it. I send it back to her. And then the way I work, I'm like emailing her, make sure you void that check and give me a new one, because that's over 90 days old. The bank won't take it. It's useless to me. So I'm going to get hit with the thing that I'll owe tax on and that I never got. So I need make sure you do a new check. So I hate when people don't respond. I'll leave her a message because she's not responding to the email. But she's kind of an idiot because she never verified the address in the first place. If I'm sending Bobby a letter, I'm sending her the Bobby Bow card. I'm sending him. I would go, Bobby, what's your address? And I would get his current address to mail the card to. I wouldn't. Well, let's see, Bobby used to live in New York 30 years ago. I'm going to send it to that address. I mean, that's how stupid it is. Get the right freaking address. So I said to her in the email, I says, I can't believe you didn't verify the address before you did. And then they sent something out in March without verifying the address again. So it reads like, well, here's a copy of the check we're going to be sending you once you sign the forms, but you got to sign the forms. They're like, fine. This is the first I'm seeing of it, but kill that check and reissue a new one, because that check's dated October 2023. So just an FYI, if you ever run into this or run into it, A, I can't believe it's a check, but B, it's only good for 90 days, right? So if somebody gives you a check from a year ago, or this case, October, so it's 6 months, the banks are not, it's going to be void. They'll have to resend it. So I hope she realizes that and reissues a new check, because this one's dated October and we are now in June. Anyway, so that's what that's all about. I signed it, I sent it off, and then again I emailed her, please send please cancel that check and do a new check so I can actually cash this check that I'm supposed to get 6 months ago. But I mean, how do you do that? So, I mean, how do you not verify the address? What is that? And why don't we just use PayPal? What are you cutting a check for? Who needs a check? Cut PayPal. I don't understand it. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Gold's down to $22.95. I'm not going to look at it anymore. It's just depressing, even though we know it's not real. We don't want to really see it. All right. Let's talk baseball. Well, first I'll talk basketball. So Boston wins the first quarter by 17, and then the rest of the game was even. So that tells me, Dallas wasn't ready, or the crowd or something was good. And I think that Porzingis was hot in the first quarter, and then he didn't show up again. So that's the home court adrenaline you get. Now I love Dallas. game 2 for sure. Boston, they won game 1, which is what you would expect, but then I like the loser back. So now it's going to be Dallas in game 2, probably getting 7.5 or 8 because they got blown out, but that's okay. They cut the score back to 8, and then there was a lot of bad referee calls. So baseball yesterday. So we'll go Dallas game 2, which will be, I guess, Saturday or Sunday. Pittsburgh over 9. W. Atlanta under 8.5, 5-unit wins. The Yankees, 5-unit wins. The Cubs, my ace, gives up 5 runs in the first 2 innings. That's why I don't like this 5-inning crap. At least if you bet it the whole game, you have a chance to come back. But, Verlander did the same thing. He gave up 5 or 6 runs. So if you bet him the first 5 innings, you lose. But Houston almost came back to win. Cubbies lose. St. Louis, they lost, and the guy, I don't know what happened there. They hit a lot of walks and stuff. Boston for 5 units wins, and Arizona over 8.5 loses. So we go 3-3 yesterday. And like I said, we're trying to figure it out to go a little bit more. The game we don't bet, Pittsburgh over 9 wins. So it's again, why didn't I take Pitt? And then why did I take Arizona 8.5, who seems to can hit? And then St. Louis, I was shocked, lost to Colorado. And the Cubs lost. So we hit the Yankees, Atlanta, and Boston. Boston just killed them. 14-2. They had 2 touchdowns on the White Sox. All right. So that was yesterday. Let's look at today. Nothing until 6:40. Full agenda. So as we get into this, we start noticing Arizona didn't get 8 runs. And you're like, okay, so what are they really that weak? We know the White Sox are weak. Arizona, San Diego. Okay, so is that going to be an under series? Because they couldn't get 8, and these pitchers were not very good yesterday. So, again, it's such weak hitting, coupled with playing every day, and the pitchers are incredibly inconsistent. So let's kick it off. We got Milwaukee at Detroit. Milwaukee's strong this year, 36-26. Detroit, 31-all. We got Tobias Myers, 1-2 at the 540 against this Reese Olson, who always got a good ERA, except he's 1-6. But then when you look at his last couple of games, the good ERA isn't the good ERA. And if he doesn't have good ERA, he's in trouble. So if we look at it, so he gives up 6 runs against Pittsburgh on April 8th. Then it's 1-4, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. And then he gives up 5 runs on Boston last game. He only pitched 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs. So this guy, a 6, a 4, and a 5, and a couple of ones. He pitched a 2-inning game against Kansas City. So it saves his ERA. He only gives up 1 earned run in 2 2/3, and he gives up 5 hits. So there's a lot of unearned runs. There's 2 runs and 1 earned. So what's going on? All these errors? I don't understand that. I see that a lot. Again, 2-1, 4-2. I mean, this is crazy. So if we go last 5, he gives up 5 and 5 innings, 1 and 6 innings to Toronto, 2 and 2 innings to Kansas City, pitched an 8-hitter against Miami, a 3-hit shutout, a 6th inning against Cleveland, a 1-hitter, but gave up 2 runs. And the Yankees, 5 innings, a 2-hit shutout. But it doesn't. Here he goes, 7 innings. This is really strange. Against KC, goes 7 innings, gives up 3 hits, 1 run, and they lose 8-0. What is that? How do you do that? How do you lose 8-0? And then they lose 2-1 to the Yankees, but he only pitches 5. Then he goes 6, loses to Cleveland. Then he throws an 8-hit shutout and loses 1-0 to Miami. Kansas City, he gives up in 2 innings, he gives up 2 runs, 5 hits. They lose 8-3. And the only game he's won is against Toronto. He gives up 6 in 6 innings. He gives up 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, and they win 2-1. Then they lose 6-3. So this guy loses a lot. A couple of 5 innings, a couple of 6 innings, a 4, a 2. So he's all over the place, very inconsistent. So, yes, he's got a low ERA, but a lot of that is due to these errors. Kansas City, 2 runs, but 1 earned. Cleveland, 2 runs, but 1 earned. Minnesota, 4 runs, but 2 earned. It's crazy. Toronto, 1 run, but 0 earned. So his ERA looks better than it is because he's still giving up runs. So, I don't know who they play. Milwaukee. He hasn't faced Milwaukee yet this year. So you got Milwaukee 105 and an 8.5. So this Reese Olson 1-6 because he doesn't win. Tobias Myers 1-2 at the 5.40. So the ERA makes him look better than he is. Yes, he does. Well, he's inconsistent. Because you got to look at the innings too. It's not just he gave up 2 runs. It's he did it in 2 innings or 3 innings. And then he goes 8 innings to shutout ball. And you're like, which guy is it? So I don't know. It's in Detroit. This Tobias Myers 1-2 at the 5.40. Let's see what he's about. I don't know if he's a bullpen guy or not. 5 innings, 3, 4, 1, 4.1, 4 1/3, 4 1/3. Gave up 5 runs to the White Sox. Jesus Christ. 6 hits, 1 run to Boston. Pitched a whole whopping 1 inning. It was a shutout. 4 innings, gave up 1 hit or 1 run. 3 innings, gave up 4. So he's all skewed because you're only going to get 4, maybe 4 innings out of him. So we got to look at Milwaukee, who has a 346 bullpen and a 258. So they should hit. Detroit should hit Tobias Myers. Milwaukee should hit Reese Olson, depending which Reese Olson we get. And who knows? So a 2.48 against the 5.40. You can't bet Reese Olson. He's 1-6. You really can't. And Tobias Myers is 1-2, but it's a lot of 3, 4. So you're going to get 4 or 5 innings out of him, the bullpen. What I see is crazy. I looked at yesterday's box scores. Like the Cardinals, and I'm like, how did they lose? And the guy, who gives up 5 runs a game, gave up 3 or 4 runs in the first 5 innings. And the bullpen comes in, not with great bullpen ERA, and it's 0-0-0. They're not even hitting the bullpen. So it's really weird how they don't hit the bullpen, but they hit the pitcher. Maybe that's why every team has 10 guys in the bullpen, because if they only have to pitch 1 inning, no matter how weak they are, they can shut out the other team. And maybe that's what's happening. You want me to make a pick here? Well, Detroit's an under bullpen, ballpark. Detroit's bullpen is now terrible, and they can't hit. Milwaukee at 105, 8.5. Detroit could hit this guy. Milwaukee. Honestly, don't know. If I go over, they'll score 8, and if I go under, they'll score 9. I got to leave this game alone. It's a little too tough. If I have to just pick something, I got to go to Milwaukee because Detroit's bullpen sucks. But I think I honestly think it'll be low scoring. Let's go under, but I'm not playing it. We're going to go Milwaukee under 8.5, just because it's 8.5 and it's in Detroit, which is a big ballpark. Reese Olson, they both could shut out, but Tobias Myers is only a 4-inning pitcher, 5 inning, and we get to the bullpen, and the bullpen says 346. So try to probably have trouble with the bullpen. So I can see it going under more than I can see it going over because Detroit doesn't hit. Minnesota Pitt. I got Joe Ryan from Minnesota, 4-4 with a 3.38. Mitch Keller, 7-3 with a 3.42. Minnesota's a 130 favorite with Joe Ryan over under 8. And here's where you get into the problem. Joe Ryan, he's good. He's inconsistent. Mitch Keller, he's 7-3, and they both have low ERAs. Let's go under here. Pitt's pretty much an under. Let's go Pitt under 8. But I'm not gonna bet them. The ERAs are too high, and this Joe Ryan's too inconsistent. Atlanta, Washington. Chris Sale, 8-1 with a 3.06 against Jake Irvin, 3-5 with a 3.39. Chris Sale last time out. He's 8-1, and his last 6 appearances were 1 run, 0, 0, 0, 1. So in 6 appearances, it was 3 1s and 3 zeros. Comes in against Oakland. Oakland hits a whopping 225. And they get, in 4 innings, 9 hits and 8 runs. All earned, 1 walk. So we have to think that he's going to return to norm. The 3.06 ERA is not valid at all. It's much lower than that, but we got to count that game. Jake Irvin, who the hell is this? 3-5 with a 3.39. Out of Minnesota. Friends of Mr. Perfect, probably. 6 innings, 2 runs, 0, 2 runs. Okay, so I'm going to go under in this game. Let's go Atlanta under 7.5, and this will be our first 5 unit. So what we basically have is Sale, who shuts you out half the time, 1 runs you half the time, goes against Irvin, who has a lot of low ERA games also, but he had a few early high ERA. So I look for this to be very low scoring with Chris Sale. Now, I would take Chris Sale with the win, being pissed after giving up 8 runs to Oakland of all teams. And that's where matchups come in. They just hit Chris Sale good. They don't hit anybody else. Oakland's got a 225 batting average, but they hit Chris Sale. And the question is, will Washington hit Chris Sale? And that's really what it's all about, is the matchup of the pitcher versus the team. But they don't play each other enough, and the teams switch enough that it's hard to get a beat on it like we do in football. So we're going under a 3.06, a 3.39. It could easily be a 1-0, 2-1 game. And because Jake Irvin could shut down Atlanta, Chris Sale could do a pull of Verlander and lose 2-1. I don't want to take Chris Sale, but I want to use him to go under. So he's under 7.5. Baltimore and Tampa. Baltimore won 105, 8.5. I like Baltimore. Cole Irvin, 5-2 with a 2.84. Aaron Chevalier, 2-4. Here we go. Baltimore. Go Baltimore. Beat Navy, and this will be, well, let's do 7 units here. I don't always want to push it to 10. I don't seem to be that lucky with the 10. I might have to make 10 11s to get lucky. My lucky number 11. So we got Baltimore and Cole Irvin. See, perfect. 5-2 with a 2.84, 2-4 at the 5.37. Baltimore hits the hell out of the ball. Tampa, a 4.26 ERA, and they hit 2.32. And Baltimore with a 3.51 ERA and hits 2.43. So I think that's a good play. Go Baltimore. That's a real sound play. That's what we want. Good pitcher with a good ERA against a terrible pitcher with a terrible ERA. Perfect. According to average is what we're playing. The expected outcome, Baltimore wins 6-2. That's all we care. Again, it's money line. We're only laying 1.5. That I think's a very weak line. The Dodgers and the Yankees, and the Dodgers are favored in New York. Holy shit, 145, 8.5. Yashumo Yamamoto. He was a what do you call those pilots? He was a kamikaze pilot. So we got a kamikaze pilot for the Dodgers. Yashimbo Yamamoto, 6-2 with a 3.32 against Cody Poteet, 2-0 with a 2.45. We need more info on Cody. Cody from San Diego. Well, went to UCLA. Good guy. 215, fourth round in Miami. See, that's what you do is you get the guy out of UCLA. In his career, he's got a 4.13 ERA. 2 games this year he started. 6 innings against Cleveland and gave up 1 run, and then that's April 13th, doesn't come back till June 1st. Must have got injured. And they beat the Niners. In 5 innings, he gives up 3 hits and 3 runs. So what's he going to do here in his third start of the year? But really, he just pitched 1. Obviously been injured. Why wasn't he a quarterback at UCLA? These are things that bother me. Not enough info on 5 innings. He gives up 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk. God, I don't get all these unearned runs. It's how many errors are they making? So he's not strong enough to take against the Dodgers. The Dodgers pitcher's got a 3.32. It's in the stadium. The Yankees bullpen, 287 with a 255 batting average. The Dodgers 307 with 2. And we got Yamakuku, 8.5. Let's go over. Let's go the NYY's over 8.5. We're not going to bet it. If we knew more about Cody Poteet, we could, but we don't. So I don't know if 245 is real. He's just 1 game in April, 1 game last week, so not enough info. So where this would be an under, I don't know what Petit's going to do. Their bullpen's okay. Will the Yankees win? The Yankees could very easily win this game. Yamamoto, I think it's a wrestler. Yamamoto, 6-2 with the 3.32. Well, I'll tell you. I can't bet the Dodgers here because I've seen Verlander go into New York and get hammered. So yeah, I gotta go Yanks over. I'm not gonna play it. I don't know enough about Cody Petit. It's too much indirect. The Cubbies in Cincinnati. Cincinnati 135, 8.5. The game's in Cincinnati. Justin Steele 0-2 with the 4.10 for Chicago. Nick Lodolo 5-2 with the 3.1. I think he screwed us last time. Nick Lodolo with the TCU. Actually, he did good. 7 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, and 6 innings against the Cubbies. 1-4-4. Okay, we'll take Cincinnati here. Cincinnati and the Cubs. Cincinnati hits a whopping 218, but they lit it up the other night. Yeah, I had the Cubs. I had this game under, and it went to 15. The Cubs are hitting 227. Both have kind of weak bullpens, both with weak starters. I'm going to go Cincinnati here, but I'm not going to play it. I don't like it. I can't trust Lodato, and then Justin Steele. They just beat a good Cincinnati. Jesus. Yes, this guy's deceiving. Justin Steele gives up 5 runs, but only 1 earned against Cincinnati last week. And then he gives up 3 hits and a shutout against Milwaukee. And then 6 hits, and he gives up 5 runs against Atlanta, 4 runs against Pitt, 6 runs against Pitt, and then 4 innings. So I think you're more than likely getting 4 or 5 runs against this guy. So, yeah, I like Cincinnati here, but I won't bet it. Cleveland and Miami. You know what's funny is I'll look at the scores later on tonight. I'll be at the lake walking or watching TV, and I'll look at the scores. I don't know who I bet half the time because it's all based on pitchers. So I'm not looking at teams. I bet them. Once in a while, I'll bet Baltimore or the Yankees, but more or less, I'm like, I got to go into the box score to see who is pitching to know who I took. Oh, yeah, these guys have high ERAs I went over, or this guy with a 2 ERA facing a 6. Oh, okay, that's the team I took. But I don't even know who I took, which is kind of clever that way. Makes it more fun. Cleveland, Miami. Cleveland 40-21, Miami 21-40. Cleveland 115, 7.5. Logan Allen 6-3 with a 5.83. Ryan Weathers, 3-5 with a 3.41. Decent ERA against a high ERA. We're gonna go over. Cleveland hits 227 with a weak bullpen. Oh no, that's the Cubs. Cleveland hits 239 with a real strong bullpen, 242. And Miami hits 236 with the real bullpen. Yeah, we're going Cleveland. And we'll go 5 units. Well, we can't go 5 units. We're just going to go Cleveland. Logan Allen 6-3, but a 5.83. I think we're going to go Cleveland over. That's what we're doing. Over 7.5. And we'll make this for 5. So basically what you have, Logan Allen's got a 5.83 ERA, so we can't assume he's going to shut you out. And Weathers is, not that strong. Cleveland hits. Oh, we need 7.5. We'll see. The Niners and Texas, the Cowboys. Oh, the Cowboys and the 49ers again. Emmitt Smith against Joe Montana. That would have been nice. Joe had left at that point, or he was injured. So he never was there for that 91, 92. It's funny how the Steelers were great and then the Niners got great and the Steelers kind of fell apart. And the Niners were great with Montana. And then all of a sudden, here come the Cowboys and the Niners kind of got a little bit worse. Montana, got hurt. Ronnie Lott wasn't, playing much. So it's too bad you couldn't see that 87, 88 Niner team go against the Jimmy Johnson teams. Well, you saw them go against the 89 team. The Niners killed them. All right, Cleveland. Okay, Frisco and Texas. Frisco 30-33, Texas 30-32. Frisco's a 127.5 in Texas. Logan Webb 4-5 with a 2.95 ERA. Michael Lorenzen 3-3 with a 2.96. So yes, we will go under 49ers, under 7.5. And Texas has really been hitting terribly. We'll bet 5 units on this. 2 not great record pitchers, but good ERA pitchers. So we will see. Boston and Chicago. Boston 32-31. Chicago 15-48. Oh my God. The White Sox are the Z team. Probably couldn't beat half the college. Like Georgia football, Georgia baseball could beat them too. Boston's a 105.8 favorite. Cooper Criswell 3-2 with the 3.92. Garrett Crochet, 5-5 with a 3.49. Boston with the 3.51 ERA, 2.43 batting average. And the White Sox are 4.39 ERA with a 2. They can't hit. How do you bet this game over? I can't. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go. Well, I should just play Boston, but this guy's not bad. Boston under 8. And we'll go 5 units because it's the White Sox who couldn't hit a good minor league team. I was listening to some radio guy, and they're talking about this guy who was really good in Double-A, but didn't play Triple-A, and then he sucked in the majors. Well, of course, Double-A doesn't mean anything. I mean, come on. It's like high school. It doesn't mean anything until you get, at least higher competition. But how do you draft a guy out of high school and then he goes into the pros? That's almost a 0% chance this guy's going to be any good. Unbelievable. All right, Seattle KC. Seattle minus 125.9. Bryce Miller, 5-5, 3.18. Daniel Lynch, 0-0 with a 1.50. So he has pitched a little. Is he a bullpen guy? 8 strikeouts and 2 walks. This guy looks like he's 12 years old, from Richmond, Virginia. He's actually pitched 3 games, 5 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 2 innings, nothing, and then 5 innings. So he's gone 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 innings, no hits, no runs, and 5 innings. 5 hits, 3 runs to Minnesota. So hard to take the ERA with only 3 games. So ignore the 150. That's bullshit. That's, he's pitched 5 innings and 2 innings and 5 innings. Seattle, Bryce Miller, 3. Seattle, I think Seattle really can't hit. 223, KC, 256. So KC's the better hitting team. And the bullpen, KC, 4.44. And Seattle with 3.62. Don't know what to do with it. I don't know. Seattle, Bryce Miller. I'm going to pass on this. I would be tempted to take Kansas City here, but I'm going to leave it alone. Colorado, St. Louis. Colorado won yesterday. St. Louis, big favorite. 185, 7.5 over under. Austin Gomer, 1-3 with the 3.06 against Lance Lynn. 2-3, 3.23. We're going under here. St. Louis under 7.5. I'm not going to play it. Don't like it. Austin Gumber, 1-3 with the 3.06. All right. Houston against California. Framber Valdez, 4-3 with the 3.95. Griffin Canning, 2-5 with the 4.69. California, they don't hit, do they? They're hitting 240, and they have a really weak bullpen. Houston, I don't know what they do. Hitting 259, but they disappear, 366. I got to go over, but I really don't know. I don't know. California doesn't do anything. We're going over, but again, I don't know how I can bet this one. Houston over 8.5, and I got to leave it alone. I can't trust California. It's 2-1. I got buried against the Seattle, and then I kept going over, and there was 2-1, 3-2. You're like, what the fuck? That's where the batting average is deceiving. You think it's a good batting average, that they'll score a lot of runs, and then they lose 2-1. You're going, huh? All right. Toronto at Oakland. So now Toronto's had to fly to the West Coast, students, and Oakland's had to fly to the West Coast also, I believe. What they normally do is, like the pitchers here, Bassett and Harris have been in Oakland for a couple of days, so they should be well rested. Bassett 6-6 with the 4-1-3 for Toronto. Hogan's Heroes 0-0 with the 3-1-4. I wonder if this is Hollywood Hogan or it says Hogan Harris. Looks like Hollywood Hogan. Oh, he's from Lou Lafayette. How can I go against this guy? I got to take this guy. Texas 5-1, 5 innings. He gave up 4 runs, 3 innings 0, 5 innings 3. So this guy's, you're going to score on Hulk Hogan here. Toronto, Chris Bassett 6-6 with the 4-1-3. From Akron, Ohio, the Firestone Tournament of Champions. He started a lot of games, a lot of 5s and 6s. Last game against Pitt gave up 3 runs. Then he had 2 shutouts, 5-inning and a 7-inning against the White Sox. So it doesn't really mean anything. 3 on Tampa. He shut out Baltimore in a postponed against the Phillies, 3-hitter. He's good for 6 innings usually. He had 1 2-inning game against the Dodgers where he got crushed. So if we throw that game out, then his ERA is much better. All right, let's go over. I always like going over these 7.5s. We'll go 5 units, which I'm sure we'll regret. Texas, it's 243. Oakland, 2. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because they're going to hit Hulk Hogan here. We missed Mr. Wu yesterday. He wasn't listed, so we didn't play the game. And then I looked in the box scores, and Mr. Wu, Ric Flair won again. So he's pretty good when we get Ric Flair next time. Arizona, San Diego 125-7. Brandon Pfaadt 2-4 at the 4-3-2 against Michael King 4-4 at the 3-8-2. And I have no idea. Arizona does not hit. I had Arizona over 8 yesterday. They didn't come close. So I was saying, so they just don't hit. The over under here is 7, which should easily go over. I got to go over with the game. Arizona over 7, but I'm not going to play it. So I have very few. Well, I have a few plays. So let's go through it. We got Milwaukee under 8.5. We got Pitt under 8. We got Atlanta under 7.5. We got Baltimore. We got the Yankees over 8.5. And they're actually home dogs. Cincinnati, Cleveland over 7.5. Frisco under 7.5. Boston under 8. St. Louis under 7.5. Houston over 8.5. Oakland over 7.5. And Arizona over 7. The bets are Atlanta under 7.5 unit. Baltimore 7 unit. Cleveland over 7.5 5 units. The 49ers under 7.5 5 units. Boston under 8 5 units. And Oakland over 7.5 5 units. So you can almost tell the pitching based on did I go over or under, right? Atlanta under 7.5, I got Chris Sale. Then I got a Frisco under 7.5. Boston under 8. I got good pitching. And then Cleveland over 7.5. I know I got shit pitching. Let's make this Atlanta game 7 from 5 units. Let's make it 7. Because I don't have that many games in this way. Chris Sale against the good. Yeah. Now that I didn't see many good games, I'll go to that one. All right. So that is baseball. We've talked gold and comex, and we know it's all derivatives. So you've got to be stoic in that we know it's going to go much higher based on the demand, but we also know what's going on. They're doing options, and they're just, when it goes up, they're selling it, and you can see it. It went up to 23.87. There's no reason to go all the way down to 2300. How does it drops 87 points is because they're selling, and there's really nothing to buy because it all got bought yesterday. And so they're not buying now. And then at the sell, it goes down to the next buy. So it just goes all the way down. So it's really not down $90. Nobody sold an ounce of gold. This has got nothing to do with buying and selling ounces of gold. This has everything to do with contracts. I am doing an Eddie Murphy. I am selling my gold at 23.87 today. And we're watching the market go down, and Duke and Duke are losing, hoping it goes up. And now they're ready to buy at 2,300, and they sold at 23.87. They'll buy at 2,300, and then they'll sell when it goes back to 2,400. So it's a fixed game now. It's supposedly running out of juice just because they actually have to have physical gold in their thing, but we will see. So gold 22.89. Yeah. I can't watch this bloodbath anymore. It goes up a little and then it just keeps getting crushed. So not much to see there. Anything on our So I saw this. It's deceiving. It says breaking 97 countries coming to attend the BRICS summit in October, but they're trying to do like an Olympics. Like it's going to be a lot of sporting events as kind of the what do you call it, the diversion, and they'll roll out the gold, but it'll be a lot of diversion. So that's what we have there. So 97 countries are coming to it just to check out BRICS. They're not all joining, although many will, like 40 or so will. And again, the US is just like a crybaby. They're like, we can't let gold go up. I don't know where they're getting this from. If gold goes up to 5,000, the dollar goes out. I don't know. There is no correlation to that. If Joe Montana goes to 100,000, the dollar's not going anywhere. If Michael Jordan goes to 500,000, the dollar's not going anywhere. Why does the gold price mean the dollar's gone? It's got nothing to do with it. The gold price is an asset like the Mahomes card. There's no difference. Gold is an asset, but what's the difference in gold and a Rolex? So I don't see the correlation to gold if gold goes up, the dollar's worthless. The dollar is a trusted thing. Like you trust the government. There's no backing. So if the gold price goes up, why would I trust my government any less or any more? I don't trust the government now. So do you think anybody's watching the gold price and saying, "Oh, gold's up to 5,000, therefore the dollar's worthless"? I heard that today from Mark McGuire's guest. I couldn't believe this guy's an idiot. Again, Mark McGuire has some guy on there he's an idiot, and he added no value. The only thing he did was about Bitcoin. He said, well, Bitcoin's useless, and here, I'll play the Bitcoin for our Bitcoin people who want Bitcoin.
With Grooms, just rip, tip, and enjoy. Most traditional supplements and greens powders take forever to prepare and even longer to clean up. Why does it still look like that? Your guess is
just a third of global.
Or what do you see it as?
I see it as digital air.
Should be living in this time because it does offer us the opportunities to make decisions, and I think good decisions. And I think this is why these sessions are so important, Bill. This is why it's nice to listen to the other side of things, to hear all the opinions. And then you make up your own mind, but at least you have the data, at least you have information. People may not agree with me or you, but the point is, what we're saying is what we see, and all we can do is say what we see, and hopefully it prompts some good choices. That's to me what these sessions are all about.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is a very
This guy's an idiot.
Interesting time to be alive. There's more change. I call it concentrated change.
So this guy's a stockbroker. What does he fucking know about economics? That's what pisses me off, is they're all just salesmen, right? They're stockbrokers or they work at a bank like Alligator. They don't know anything about economics, so they go off on a tangent on economics and they're wrong. That's why I go and correct them.
In current day than at any point in time on this planet. And the change is upending many status quos, if you will, that have been in place for literally hundreds of years. I mean, it's going to be really interesting, obviously, to find out what happens with currency. It's going to be really interesting to find out what happens with banking. I mean, if banks go down and bail everybody in, are they going to get a second shot at it? Will there even be banking? It's going to be interesting to see how this.
See, why would there not be banking? Why would the banks collapse? They'll just need a new. See, here's where he doesn't get it. This is a medium of exchange. If it's a banana, an apple, or a dollar, and you've printed it zero. So all you need is a new medium of exchange. And that's really what it is. Bringing a dollar back by gold, nothing changes. The banks will still be there. It's not a big deal. It's just switch the medium of exchange to gold-backed currency. That's all you need to do. The system is set up. It's a perfect system, but you can't fuck the medium of exchange. He doesn't understand that.
This works out. And yeah, it's interesting times, but again, and when I say be careful what you wish for, this is going to upend pretty much everything, the way of life as we've known it our entire lives.
Yeah, this.
No, it won't. You're just going to come out with a gold-backed currency. Like, look what BRICS is doing. Nothing will change. Their currency will be strong. Hopefully, we can use the BRICS gold-backed currency for our transactions. They use the dollar. Russia, China use the dollar. So that's all it should be smooth. There shouldn't be any issues. You're just going to a new dollar. I don't see, these guys are so clueless. What do they think's gonna? Where do you think you came up with the medium of exchange? That's Adam Smith. That's been going on since the 1600s. So we've got 500 years where it works. It even worked for the Romans. So I'm not quite sure if these guys understand anything about economics.
This is so true, and I think so just while we're talking about options, we never really discussed. What's your thoughts on Bitcoin? Do you see it as a fellow traveler, or what do you see it as?
I see it as digital air. And in my opinion, and I could be entirely wrong, first off, let me just say that the blockchain is a perfect accounting system, but because the cryptocurrencies are basically digital nothings, it's accounting for nothing. This is what we've seen has been a far greater craze than the tulip craze. So my opinion is Bitcoin, digital currencies, they are digital air, in my opinion, and we'll I think eventually find out. I think that the cryptocurrencies were basically a CIA backed or started idea as a way to steer fear capital that's trying to exit the fiat system away from gold and away from silver, just as the ETFs were back in the early 2000s. They steered capital away and into paper, if you will, into the ETFs, and acted as a relief valve for the pressure that was building up in the gold and silver markets, which, again, if you have $10,000, $20,000 gold, that is a vote of no confidence on a system that runs 100% on confidence.
Why? Let's talk about, okay, so Bitcoin is here. Well, we already know it's worthless. Why is gold at 10,000 make the dollar have no confidence? What does one thing have to do with another? This is an asset, like a car, like a house, like a Mickey Mantle card. What does it have to do with the price of tea of the dollar? The dollar, if you print it to death, why would you have confidence in this? And why would it be dependent on this? This price should be, irregardless of what this is, it shouldn't matter. This is valuable, but if you're going to $1,000 has no bearing on this. These are separate entities. This is just an asset, just like this. There's no difference between these two. This is money. This is actually worth more. So it's just funny how he says that, but yet I don't see where there's any correlation between if gold price is high, nobody trusts this. You think these idiots can tell the difference? They don't even understand what gold is. You think they're going to even watch the gold price? And if the gold price is high, go, oh, I have no confidence in the dollar. I don't know what he's talking about. This guy talks clueless. He's just really clueless.
We buy that. What I buy is the argument that you just made, that ETF gold is an illusion. And it was actually part of the whole reason that COMEX was set up in the first place after Nixon took gold off the standard, was to create volatility and add synthetic supply and create chaos. So, as you say, then...
That's not what it was for. Oh, God, these guys are so stupid. COMEX was set up to keep the price of gold down because all the foreigners wanted the gold because the U.S. started printing all their money. So the idea in 1945 with the whatever it's called, I can't think of the name. So because, God, forgive me, but so we got on the gold standard in 1945, and all the countries bought dollars because it was based on that the dollar is backed by gold. So when Nixon took us off, and then they realized the dollar wasn't backed by gold anymore, they all wanted their gold. They all wanted, here's my money, give me my gold. And if the price went too high, he didn't have it. So he had to keep the price down. That's what COMEX is for, not for this other crap, Mark.
They bring in an ETF that's linked directly to the COMEX, and you can exchange it with this ETF. And there is no guarantee there's any bullion in there. Do you remember that day, going back a bit, where Bob Pisani from CNBC went into the HSBC vaults in London and picked up a bar?
Right.
And showed it. See, it's here. And that bar number related to somebody else's ETF. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. And I also remember Steve Mnuchin going into Fort Knox, coming out, and his statement verbatim was, gold is good. He didn't say the gold is good. He just said gold is good. Well, tell us something we don't know. Is all the gold there? No, there's no way. Why have they not had an audit since 1956? Because and their explanation originally was, oh, well, it would be too expensive to audit it. I mean, they build billion-dollar bridges to nowhere. And you're probably talking, I don't know, what would an audit cost? Maybe 25 million, 50 million?
I'll audit it for that much.
That's not even a pickle on a hamburger.
Yeah, and there's empirical evidence to prove that is correct, because they wouldn't allow the Bundesbank head to enter the vaults, refused, and Furthermore, it's going to take 7 years initially to give back 300 tons of gold to the Buddha.
Okay, Mark. There's a little big on silver.
Never thought about it before. You mentioned that silver may well be the fuse that triggers a daisy chain collapse of the banking system.
Right.
I think I remember that correctly.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yet silver is leading this entire rally at this point.
Right. Well, silver is more volatile than gold, and it makes sense because it's a smaller market, and it being a much smaller market, it's much easier to manipulate. But I mean, going back throughout history, silver moves up and moves down faster than gold does.
Okay, how many times must I explain this? It's the derivatives, it's the contracts. It's got nothing to do with physical that are moving it. Which does he even say that? No. So the reason it's more volatile is because Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd are selling silver and it goes down, and then they buy it and it goes down in cents. So if it drops $1, they then buy it and then it goes up, and then they sell it and it goes down, and it's in cents. So it shows the dollar up and down more than gold, although gold's getting killed today. But you just ignore it and you know it's gonna. There's probably no buying or Hong Kong or whoever's closed now, so they're nailing it to get out of the derivatives. So when the Dukes put a sell order in at like 32.90 and the price is 34, they're fucked. However, if they can get the price back down to 29.90, then they can get out of their derivative. And that's all that this bullshit is. And the question is, I can hear Luke saying, when does it end? And Luke, it ends at the end of this quarter because they'll need physical. They're running out of physical gold. Silver will still play the game a little, but the game is ending because of BRICS. And that's all you need to be and stay stoic is, you're right. Just stay stoic. So stoic is you see your girlfriend talking to another guy and you go, well, I know she loves me and, it's probably nothing and I'm not worried about her leaving me. So go ahead and talk. The child, like all the Alabama guys, would, oh my God, she's talking to another guy. Oh my God, so insecure. And I remember guys coming up to me and I'm talking to some girl and, he looks at me and I just start laughing at him like, who the fuck are you? This is between me and her. She's my girlfriend. So what? This has nothing to do with you. The fact that she's a person and I'm a person and we want to talk about probably gold, get the fuck out of here. You've got no say in this. You don't own her. And that's kind of what you're doing here with gold and silver. It's going to go up. Comex is going to get blown up and it's all paper. And so the physical from BRICS is going to support it and raise it. And that's what you're waiting for is that. So really that's the bottom line that we know is we got to stay stoic knowing I know that gold price is going to be 20,000 and there's a point the dollar has no value now. So if you understood it, it's not about trust. I don't trust the government. Who trusts the government? So, but what does that have to do with the money? Nobody can connect the dots. The money's got no value, but it's the backing of the government. So either you like the government or not. What does that have to do with the gold price? What does that have to do with any of this shit? So, I don't know.
Yeah, silver's leading, and it has been leading now for the last. The ratio's down to 73 from it was over 90 just month and a half ago. So silver's definitely outperforming, and silver is, as I said, I've been saying, is the fuse to the gold market. You couldn't have $100 silver and gold not go higher than where it is now. Yeah, and the real danger is that gold is the antithesis, if you will, to fiat money. It's the anti-dollar. It's real, and the fiats are printed by man. They're not real. They don't have any real value other than the fact that governments mandate that you use their currencies. So you really couldn't have, say, 5 or 10 or $25,000 gold, and the fiat system remain as it is. I mean, if you had 5, 10.
Totally disagree. One has nothing to do with the other. If gold's 10,000 an ounce, you still have the fiat currency. Nobody's running to gold now. Nobody's running to it now when the inflation is huge. Nobody even understands what the inflation is. Oh, it's 2%. Oh, okay. I'm fine in the dollar. People don't get it. Gold's been running up to 2,400, 2,440. No, what are they doing? They're still you don't have a choice. You got bills, you pay with the dollar. And gold, you're buying it because you know it's going to go up, but it really hasn't. If gold's 20,000, the dollar goes because you printed too much. It doesn't matter what the gold is to what the dollar is. It's totally immaterial and non-factor. The dollar takes care of itself. So you got two people. One guy eats chocolate pie every day. He gains 100 pounds. Doesn't put anything on somebody who has avocados every day. I mean, it's totally one versus the other. It's got nothing to do with each other. So it's not, if gold goes up to 10,000, the dollar goes out. The dollar goes out because you printed 150 trillion of them and nobody wants it. And they're all de-dollarizing and they're all buying gold. So I don't know what this guy's talking about. Really, see, the problem is he makes a comment, but he can't back it up or explain it. And therefore, what the fuck's he talking about?
$25,000 gold, you would have interest rates going much, much higher because confidence would be breaking in the sovereign debt that not only does the world run on, but sovereign debt, particularly U.S. treasuries, are the foundation to the entire system. And that foundation is pure, it's a mirage, it's sand.
Okay, why, if gold's higher, would interest rates go up? It has nothing to do with it. It's got nothing. Gold going higher has nothing to do with interest rates. Interest rates are because of the inflation, because you're printing the dollar because it's not backed by anything, and you print 25 trillion dollars. I don't want to get paid back in inflated dollars that aren't worth as much, so I got to charge a higher interest rate. It's as simple as that. Gold has no bearing on interest rates. In fact, if you had the dollar backed by gold, you wouldn't even have interest rates. You wouldn't need them because if I'm giving you gold, just pay me back. Here's a half ounce. Okay, you owe me a half ounce. Okay, you give me back the half ounce. I don't need interest because I'm going to get the real money back. So, but gold at 20,000 has got nothing to do with interest rates. Interest rates are because you printed too much money and that causes the inflation. The money isn't worth as much, so I got to charge an interest rate. That gold at 50,000 wouldn't move the interest rate. It's got nothing to do with it. What a fucking idiot.
If you go back to what happened during the Depression, you didn't have a system-wide failure because the money was still good. And the money theoretically was still good until 1971 when the U.S. went off the gold standard. Then it's, from that point forward, it's been clown money.
Yeah, and as you just pointed out, essentially what's happening is because the physical markets are being settled outside of this CME, LBMA ring fence, this 50 years of
ring fencing.
It's because it's being settled outside, and because what essentially is happening, and I think this is what's happening, is that they're forcing this Western cartel, who has been in control for so long, to actually ultimately be price takers as opposed to being price makers.
Yeah, and I think it's really important
Nobody cares what you think. All right, so that's silver. I wanted to do something on bricks. This is
Yeah,
bricks.
and looking at the more recent stuff that's going on, I think the very fact that what you're referring to, the Sino-Russia BRICS alliance, it actually poses, it has to pose, the single largest threat to undermine this multifaceted globalist agenda, really that really relies on a unipolar status quo. And I think, in my opinion, that's why we're evidencing such irrational desperation in trying to effect a regime change in Russia, the lack of wanting to even discuss this, an end to the war, even to discuss it. If it threatens, even if it threatens an unthinkable World War III, it just cuts right through that narrative.
Yeah, it does. And I've urged people ever since February of 2022, when the Ukraine war started, I've urged people to actually read Putin's speeches. He's not a madman. I think if you read, and I think he's done 6 or 7 now public speeches since then. If you read those, there's logic in there. He's not a madman. And I find very little that I disagree with. I think really, I think the guy is a businessman, and I think you could do business with him. But if you don't hold up your end of the deal, you're a dead man. But I do think that I do think the man's handshake is good. I mean, that's just my personal take, just based on the things that he has said, reading his speeches. He just makes common sense, uses logic, and I think he just wants to do business, but he wants to do business and be settled on fairly. And the dollar is basically the never pay model. And when I say the never pay model, you get paid in dollars with treasuries. You get promised more dollars, and ultimately you never really get paid. You never really truly settle the trade.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think with an open mind. I mean, any time we see a single narrative, whether it was the lockdowns or whatever, any single narrative has to be challenged. And I think when you cannot challenge it, it really gets obvious. It starts to make you really start to smell a rat. And I think, as you say, anything I've heard is a very pragmatic man. Let's face it, and it wasn't him doing anything. It was in NATO has moved 1,000 miles closer to Russia, and then a week before the military operation, there was something like 4,000 shells into Donetsk, which is, in other words, Ukrainians killing Ukrainians. They happen to be Russian ethnicity. And so he invoked, I think it's Article 51 or 52, whatever it is, to literally come and protect those people he had a right to protect. So I think one can't even be seen to be talking about that, because Russia bad, everyone else is good.
Yeah, and I mean, here we can go out into the weeds or not.
Nobody cares what you're saying. So I don't know what it had to do with BRICS. The BRICS alliance threatened to the globalists. Yeah, so the globalists are all these Zuckerbergs and Bill Gates and that want to rule the world. Basically, it's George Soros wanting revenge for the Nazis, losing World War II, and so he's fucking all the free countries, basically Western Europe and the U.S., and Putin's smart enough to go to gold. Gold is the great equalizer, right? No matter what, I got gold. Don't fuck with me, and I can't. Putin sounds like a mafia guy, right? It's as long as the business is good, fine. But if you fuck me over, I'll kill you. Well, that's Don Corleone right there, Luca Brasi. So that's all Putin is. Not much in this. This was a very lousy. I wouldn't recommend this episode. I don't like this guy. How Bill is preparing himself for the future. Who gives a shit? What's been going wrong with the Fed? Well, they keep printing money. The upcoming U.S. election. What about it? So really, it's silver's not leading a rally. Silver goes up on a percentage. It's only $30. Gold's 2,400. So of course, when silver goes to 31, it's leading because a percentage at 30 versus a percentage at 2,400 is obviously different. So don't waste your time with Mark McGuire today. And they keep talking about the U.S. invading Russia or this whole NATO thing. I mean, it's just bullshit. They can't do it. We don't have a strong enough army, and Russia will kill us. So if they're really going to nuke, my guess is they nuke some little island and say, look, we've got nukes in the U.S. What's the U.S. going to do? Nuke them? And then they're going to nuke us, and that's the end of it? Like, really? The only thing that'll survive is the gold. And anyway, and then of course I was watching Mr. Perfect. How can you not watch something on Mr. Perfect? And then I haven't seen this yet, Jerry West. How good was he actually? It was great. What are you talking about? How good was he? So not a lot. Well, I'll see. Maybe Egon might be on today, although he's been on a little bit. But see, this is the problem with Mark McGuire. He gets this idiot on who's a stockbroker who doesn't really help us at all. We want to know what's going on in Russia. We don't know. He gives us his opinion. I want to hear Mark McGuire what's going on. I don't need this other guy who I don't like anyway, who doesn't know anything. Why do I want to watch him? Why is he on giving his opinion that I don't want in the first place? So it's pretty pathetic. Anyway, the Supreme Court overturns Trump conviction because there was something. I haven't read it yet, but anti-Ukraine war protests in Europe. Anyway, that's what we got going on. So we know gold is going to the moon. We know gold is being right now priced in contracts. We know when it gets high, they short and they sell first and buy second. We know when it's low, they buy and then it goes. So right now, they're doing their shorts. The price is going down. We know it'll be bought and the price will go back up. So it's just a game. It's not the real value of the gold. Oh, yet they do it. So if I hear about my job Monday or something, I know I'm getting this $1,200 check in. then I got a nice discount. This will not stop me from buying gold. There's nothing there that would say don't buy gold. We know to buy as much gold as we can get. We know the dollar's going out if we trust it or not. It's not. It's the trust in it's the confidence in the government. But who has confidence in the government? Everybody's getting out, and I'm not sure anybody has confidence in the government. To the dollar, it's is there a market for the dollar? And it's really not our market. It's does China and Russia and Saudi Arabia and Britain and these guys, do they have confidence in the dollar? That's what it is. And if they do, they keep buying it. And when nobody wants it, it goes to zero. And we're very close to that point. That's why everybody's de-dollarizing. So interest rates are high going up because of the inflation, which is high, which means the dollar is going out, regardless of what gold does. Gold should be much higher, but the game they're playing with the options and the contracts are making it, oh, gold's 2,300 now. It's 2,400. Well, it went down 100 points today. Everybody must be selling, or it's consolidating. How the fuck is it consolidating? What are they talking about? It's all done on contracts, and it's either put options or call options. Call up or put down. Right now, it's high, they put down. Tomorrow or Monday it'll be put ups. It'll be a call because it's cheap, so they're going to buy it and make money on the up. That's what they're doing, and they're controlling it to a point, but they still need the physical. And there'll be a ton of buying Monday when at these low prices of 2,300. Believe me. So yeah, it's just a 1 day thing. Don't get caught up in the comex price. It's an option. It's a contract. It is not the physical, and it's all bullshit. So this is a buying opportunity that we can get it at 2,300. 2,400. It's not a selling. It's buying, but we'd rather buy it at this higher price. All right, let's see what our gold's at now. $22.91. Got down to $22.87. So you sold your option at $23.86, and now you're buying it at $22.87. So you bought $22.87. You sold it already at $23. So you made $100 an option. So you made a fortune. And now you're going to make more money. Now you're going to go buy it at $22.87, and it's going to go back to $23. What the fuck is going on? This is paper gold. This is nothing to do with physical gold. That's why when this guy says, well, if gold goes to 10,000 an ounce, the dollar will be worthless, it has nothing to do. There's no correlation at all. Explain the correlation to me, because if Montana's card's 125,000 and Jordan's is 500,000, that doesn't affect the dollar. Gold doesn't affect the dollar. It's an asset. It's just gold. It's like a painting. It's like a Rolex. So if a Rolex goes to 100,000, does that affect the dollar? Well, it's all gold. Why not? So the fact that gold goes up does not affect the dollar. Most people don't even understand it, that it's even correlated, and I'm not sure it is correlated. So again, this guy talks, and people believe the shit he says. There's nothing to it. There is nothing to, if gold went to 10,000 an ounce, the dollar would go out. Now, the dollar's going out because they printed enough of it to make it worthless. Nobody wants it. There's no demand for the dollar. It'll go out. It has nothing to do with, oh, well, wait, if the gold price goes up, the dollar goes out. Everybody wants gold. Well, believe me, everybody wants gold now. Everybody's buying it. The BRICS, all the Chinese people, all the Russians and the Indians and the Saudis, they're all buying gold. The dollar, the price hasn't gone, and the dollar's already, nobody wants it. So you got to be careful with these guys. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not skilled. They don't have the skill set to talk about it. They are not. They are stockbrokers. And what's a stockbroker? A salesman. How does that qualify him to be an economist? How is he an economist? In what way is he qualified to talk about the fact that the gold price goes up, interest rates go up when it doesn't? And what for is he qualified to say, well, if gold goes to 20,000, the dollar will go out? No, it won't. The dollar is since it's its own entity. In other words, what you're saying is, here's the bonds card and here's the Mahomes. So if the bond card goes up, the Mahomes card goes down. No, they're not related. They're not correlated. This is for Bonds fans. This is Mahomes fans. The stupid steroids cost him. Otherwise, these two would be both 20,000 a shot. But they have nothing. There's no correlation between the Montana rookie and the Rice rookie, the Earl Campbell rookie, the Lynn Swan rookie. There's no correlation. There's different fans who like the different players. And that's it. I mean, gold does not have any correlation to the dollar. It shouldn't even be priced in dollars, but it's got no correlation. So when you hear this, it's a shake your head moment. And that's all you can do. I think that's it. Let's just review. So no basketball tomorrow. Today we'll be betting Dallas tomorrow. We got Milwaukee under 8.5, Pitt under 8.5, Atlanta under 7.5, Baltimore, the Yankees over 8.5. They're actually a dog to the Dodgers, but they're pitching a new guy. Cincinnati, Cleveland over 7.5, Frisco under 7.5, Boston under 8, St. Louis under 7.5, Houston over 8.5, Oakland over 7.5, and Arizona over 7. The bets: Atlanta under 7.5, 7 units. Baltimore, 7 units. Cleveland over 7.5, 5 units. Frisco under 7.5, 5 units. Boston under 8, 5 units. And Oakland over 7.5, 5 units. That is your baseball picks today. Maybe on the weekend we can look at week 1 NFL, but there's really not anything until we know the quarterbacks. We put in our lines and we put in who we believe are the quarterbacks. But until we get starters now, nothing happens now till the end of July when the training camps start. So we're in June now, so it's a month away. And we will see. So I don't know. The Lions are in for a big surprise. They think they're a good team. They think they've added all these cornerbacks, and they don't realize it's the coach. The defensive coordinator runs a shit scheme, 2 deep zone. So you're just playing a zone, and you're letting these receivers like Jefferson and Pukanuka and even the guy on Tampa, Evans, and CD Lamb all go for 200-plus yards. There's nobody within 10 yards of them. They just go out and cut in the middle, and they're wide open, and, boom, 250 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jefferson's, I remember in those games with Nick Mullins is wide open. Nick Mullins throws for 400 yards against this defense. It's a weak defense against a good quarterback. So he's lucky that they get the Bears twice, and who knows who the Minnesota quarterback. They're in big trouble against Chicago. They think they're equal to the Niners. They're crazy. Although I did hear one guy. So I know they're listening. I heard one guy today talk about if the Lions would have kicked field goals instead of going for 4th down, they would have won the game. And they were trying to do math. And the biggest thing is they don't get is the emotion. When you don't make a 4th down, the other team gets this huge emotion, and that's why you lose. So if you just kick the field goal, keep the momentum, the emotion, the Lions would have won because they wouldn't have given up the emotion. But when they didn't get it, what was it, 3 plays, and Frisco scored And then the Lions get the ball back, and Frisco's got all the momentum, and then the fumble. And then all of a sudden, Frisco ties the game. So you gave them all that emotion and momentum by not getting the fourth down. But just kick the field goal. Even if you miss the field goal, it's not as emotional as not getting the fourth down, because then we stopped you. On a field goal miss, there's no emotional, there's no momentum shift really. You didn't do anything. The kicker sucked. He missed. Fourth down and 2, and you don't get it. We stopped you. You disrespected us. And that's the part that the coaches don't get. You fucking with the team. That's emotional. Oh, you don't think you think you can get 2 yards on us. And that's exactly what the Niners were saying. And then they went for it and didn't get it. And the Niners like, fuck you. You think you can get 2 yards on us? Boom, 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 touchdown, boom, 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 fumble, boom, 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 touchdown. You're tied because of the momentum you gave by going for it on fourth down. So even if you just try the field goal, even if you miss it, it's okay. They're not going to get the same emotion or momentum as they would have had you not gone for the fourth. And you did it twice. You had it to tie the game, and you didn't do it. Man, go coach golf or something, man, because you're not a pro coach. I don't know why people stick up for him. Like, what do you need to see the guy can't coach? I mean, at what point, what do you need to be shown to show the guy can't coach? What is it that you need to be shown? I don't know. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Again, I'm hoping that idiot lawyer voids the check. I'm assuming she just had the letter and she kept mailing the letter out. So I'm hoping she voids the check and I get a current check, and then I'll go and get $1,200 and go buy a half ounce of gold. The way the price is going, I may be able to get an ounce of gold. But see how much easier it is to be stoic on gold, knowing that we know that it's all contracts and derivatives and put and calls. So today it's a put down day. So they did puts on it, and it went down, and then they'll do calls and it'll go back up. I mean, so it's predictable, but it's ending because with everybody buying so right now what's happening is China's buying the gold at 2,900 or 2,300, and they're going to have to deliver it, and they don't have much left because they keep giving the gold to China. So China's the one winning here because they're getting it for 2,300, and that's really the bottom line there. So anyway, that's what we have. So just stay stoic. We know what's going on. We know it's going to be 10 times this. We know that's the exact thing. If the gold price has any effect on the dollar, which it doesn't, well, what do you think Russia's going to do? Fine, we'll jack that gold price to 10,000. That'll end the dollar. That'll end the war. So if that was as easy as it is, then why isn't Russia's just raising the gold price, doing the Shanghai Gold Exchange, meeting with Xi, going, okay, let's gold 20,000, and then the dollar will evaporate. Why isn't that happening? So it's bullshit. What the price of gold is does not affect the price of the dollar. The dollar has no value because it's printed and not backed by anything. And it's going out. It's gone. So keep that in mind. It's gone because they printed it to death or inflated it to death. That's why it's gone. Nothing to do with gold, nothing to do with comex or nothing to do with Rolex or anything else. It is strictly gone because they printed too much. That's it. That's the bottom line. All right, I guess that's about it. I'll be on tomorrow morning at 11. Saturdays I like to do the show first or the class and then go to the pool and then go get Chinese. So we will do all that tomorrow. I can't believe it's Friday already. Jobs, I'm waiting to hear. Talked to my friend today about what's going on with the 2 other interviews, and she said they're just covering their bases. Don't worry, you should get it. You did well on your interview. She said what they're looking for now is there's people that don't have young kids and people that are, women that are pregnant and stuff like that. They want reliable people, and they obviously can see I'm reliable. And so she thought, yeah, you'll definitely good news. And it's just they had more people to interview, so they interviewed them. They just want to, make sure and see maybe because they know there's 2 openings. So that's all it is. But I said, but if you got me, why would you want to meet other people? But that's not the right way to look at it. Okay, we have you, check, but let's see who else is there, check. And then we'll take our best. And then that's what they know. So anyway, I guess if you interview and they just say we have others to interview, it's just they want to be thorough. They want to look at 10 people and then they can make their decision. Doesn't mean they don't like you. It just means that they are viewing it. So I will give it another week of just waiting. But now that I know I got this $1,200 coming, I'm set, for the next month. So plus I got my Social Security. I don't know how long that's going to be, but I know it'll be at least until the election. So I'm okay. And then hopefully I'm working already. But anyway, then we got football season coming up. So this will be interesting. I'll have to figure out what to do. I can do a class and you can buy the class and I'll go through the picks like I do with baseball now. Or I can just do what I do, but most of the picks you'll have to go to Teaserking and buy. But we'll have to see what's the better route. All right. Well, have a good night and a good weekend, and don't worry about gold. I know it's just it's the contracts being sold. It's all contracts options. It's got nothing to do with the value of the gold. It's the value of the paper that's down, and I told you, it went up to 23.87 because they were buying they were doing the call options, and now they're doing the put options, and it's going down. And then they'll do the call options, which is already happening, I think. So keep that in mind. Anyway, have a good night. Have a good weekend. A lot of rain here. So anyway, I'll be with you tomorrow. All right. www.teaserking.com. You can get my email if you like. And that'll be it. So I will see you tomorrow. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice weekend, a nice night. Enjoy.